Hi, my name's Alec Gonzalez with Coaching the Red Line. I coach pastors and leaders in the local church. I also do a little spiritual direction. And I have with me Curtis Blanchett of Starfish. He's got some interesting stories to tell. I think we'll get into all of them. I always like to start with childhood. Where were you born? Family of origin? How many siblings? What was your childhood like growing up?
Well, I have one sister born the exact same day, 2 years younger than I.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she says I stole her birthday, but in reality, I was there 2 years before her. So it's kind of funny how that works.
Yeah.
But I grew up living a good life. I lived in Vancouver, British Columbia. We lived just an hour from the water and went out in the boat every weekend and really enjoyed life and had a good time. And I thought life was great. So I don't know if you want. From about the time I was 12 years old to 24 years old, I was heavily involved in drugs. Did a lot of drugs, sold a lot of drugs, went to different countries, imported drugs, stuff like that. But I had family members that were good, faithfully. I grew up in a Catholic family where we had my dad's sister was a nun. I had an aunt that was Episcopalian, and she was always teaching me the Bible and stuff like that. And then my grandmother had a Baptist background, but as I was growing up, I had a really foul mouth, and nobody could figure out what I was like. I was doing drugs. I was doing various things. But I knew inside of me that there was more to life than just go out, do drugs, party, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a time when I was about 24 years old, I got caught drinking and driving. And my sister, who is younger than me, tried to jump out of the van because I was just driving really bad. And I just realized that I messed my life up, right? And so I'd had a Bible. I occasionally read it, but I didn't really do anything with it. And all of a sudden, when this time that I got caught drinking and driving was going up for suspension, I had a really good lawyer. He managed to get me off. But I just knew I had to change, right? And I made that vow to God, if you get me off of this, I'll change my life.
Yeah.
Right? We know how that works for most people.
I don't know how that works for most people. This is the first time someone's ever brought that. I ask this question every time. I've had the same interview with like 20 people, and You're the first person that said, I made a deal with God. I can't wait to hear how this goes.
Yeah. Well, he did his part, and I actually did my part.
Oh, nice.
Right? I was doing coke. I was drinking 2 cases of beer a day. I drank hard stuff. I did everything. And a friend of mine, right after that, I had an aunt that was a drug dealer as well. And she had a friend who was a heroin addict. And she ended up turning her life over to God through the Foursquare Gospel Church. And she asked my aunt and I if we wanted to go to church that Sunday morning. And usually on Sundays, I was with a group of people that would go down to White Rock Beach in Vancouver, and we would just party. And it would cause all kinds of problems. And I said, is it okay if we go to church and then go party right after? And she says, sure. So I end up saying, okay, I'll go to church that Sunday morning. Well, she never showed up, right? Nope. But I went to the church anyway. And I walked I walked into the church, and I'd never heard God's voice. I never knew really much about God. And as soon as I walked into the back foyer, I heard God say, "This is your home." And it was like very strange. So I went in, I sat at the back. I mean, I came from a Catholic background, Episcopalian, Baptist, and in the Foursquare Church, they raised their hands.
That's right.
Right?
Speak in tongues, too.
They do all of that stuff, right?
I'm Foursquare,
Often, I know.
Yeah.
And, hang off the chandeliers. So I go.
I never saw any chandelier hangers, but okay.
No. So I'm in the back, and this is all really strange to me. They're singing, they're worshiping, and I don't remember a single word that was said from the message. All I remember is I saw everybody lifting their hands, and I went like this 2 or 3 times, right? And that's all I remember, other than these 2 girls came, invited me to a coffee house on Monday, and I said, "Okay, I'll go." It was like 2 days before that I got caught with my impaired. I was drinking, doing stuff. The Saturday night before, I said, "Oh, I can't go to church hungover," so I didn't drink that day, and I've never drank since.
Wow.
No withdrawals, no nothing. God just came into my life. After that, I started. I was dyslexic. I couldn't read or write, and I started my journey. And within a couple months, was going to Bible college, Life Bible College.
Life Bible, Foursquare.
Foursquare, Life Bible College.
Nice. All my Foursquare peeps are going to be happy to hear this. Nice.
Yeah. So but it was just like miraculous. There's no way. I just said God changed my life, and that's what He did.
That's such a cool story. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Now I have 2 beautiful boys, a wonderful wife that never done any of the things that I've done in my life.
Nice.
And now I've got friends like Charles here that I help and I
Nice.
work with all the time. I was a Foursquare pastor, street pastor.
Nice.
In Vancouver, on Broadway. And it was all street people. That's who I see. I don't seem to really click with regular leaders. I click with people on the street better. I don't know why, but I just happen to. And so there was street people, other drug people that I connected with and did. And then from there, I went into Youth with a Mission for several years with our family, and lived in Kelowna, British Columbia at the YWAM base there. And then we lived in Haiti for a year.
Oh, nice.
Went down there, lived, helped people on the street, went where most people would get abducted and stuff. And I said to the organization and all the people, don't pay a ransom for me. They'll either kill me or let me go, right? Because I was just going to preach Jesus to them. And I ended up with just so many really good friends that normally would not ever step in a church.
Nice.
And so I just went from there. But the reason that I stopped with Youth with a Mission was because of the finances, right? And one thing I've noticed over the years, that the church started the education system with universities and stuff, and then we've given it over to the world. The church did the same thing with the medical system. We started all the top universities, and then we gave it over to the world, and they kept messing that up. And the church has always been really good with helping, supporting the widows and the orphans and stuff like that. And what have we done? We've turned it over back to the world, and the world just destroys all of this stuff, right? And so my business now is from a couple engineers that used to work with GM, said there's got to be a better way. And they're good Christian guys. And they said the financial system is eating people alive, right? Debt causes divorce. Debt causes suicide. And they said there's got to be a better way. And so they found a system. Yeah. People like Charles.
So talk to Chuck. I need you to be a little louder.
Okay. So Chuck, Charles. And Charles is one of those friends that I'm doing business with, helping him. He's had legal issues and pain issues in his body and can't get ahead. But now through this business, what we're doing is we're helping people get ahead of inflation. So we have a business that goes back to the cash system, except we use it with gift cards with Ace and Walmart and all these things, and they bypass the transaction fees and all of the advertising fees, and then gives the profits back to the people.
Okay.
So we work together to help each other, more like a church community does spiritually. And yet, not only do we help financially, we help with marriages, we help with drugs, we help with raising kids. Because everything that's part of our success in life has to do with everyday life. And the church has kind of gotten away from helping people in those things. We just want big buildings and lots of people, even though we don't say that. Personally, I like helping people like Charles that are struggling financially but want to get ahead and deserve a better life, right? But I also need Christians who want to be part of helping people grow spiritually. So we invite people that are non-Christians into a community that we introduce Christ slowly to them through leadership. So anyone who wants to be able to help others but has no practical way, because the church, mostly what we do is we try to get them into the seats, but we don't meet people where they're at. What we do is we meet them where they're at within their marriages or within their finances, and then help them to grow out of that. And then we introduce Christ to them, that because that's where Christ meets everybody. When we were in Youth with a Mission, my wife and I were always just givers and helpers and stuff like that. And we had 2 boys. And many of the leaders, I think, were afraid of us. We didn't want their positions, but they kind of saw us trying. They thought that we were trying to raise to a higher position, but really we just liked helping the everyday person there. And our kids kind of paid the price, because our kids were smart, our kids worked hard, but the leaders never really gave into our kids that way and sort of pushed them away from, I don't even know how to say it, but kind of pushed them away from God by not investing into their lives, but trying to not, I don't even know how to say it, but our kids turned away from God because of some of the leaders within. Mm-hmm. But it also taught us that it's not what others do, it's what we do in our lives and how we react to hard things in life. Nice. And just like my parents' divorce, it's not, bad things are going to happen to all of us. Every single one of us are going to have bad problems. They're going to have obstacles in our lives. Yeah. But it's what we do with it. Can we step through it and look at how can I overcome, and then how can God use me to help others overcome? Exactly. I wanted to go do missions in Nepal, but God had a different plan. He sent me to Hawaii instead with Ralph Moore. With Ralph Moore.
I know Ralph Moore.
Yeah.
I know his books. I've never met him.
Yeah. So he spoke one weekend over at the Bible college, and I ended up getting an internship. I lived in the office in a little booth doing audio stuff like this. Didn't have any money or anything like that, but I was able to stay in the church office. Uh-huh. And I just saw how they reached regular people.
Yeah.
And that's really where Ralph Moore and Hope Chapel came from. I had a lot of good friends in Hawaii doing that. I ended up doing stuff there. And it brings me back to Amy Semple McPherson with her whole ministry. People said a woman can't do ministry, they can't be a leader. But she went out and she reached the gangsters.
Yeah.
She reached the people and did the whole ministry of leaving wheelchairs out and people started to walk. And again, that's that whole thing of going to people and living through things that people say against you that they don't really know what they're talking about, but you know what God is doing in your life.
Yeah.
Right. And so Ralph Moore, most of the people would not ask me to come and participate in their church and do an internship. But he took a chance with an ex-drug dealer, a person that was not a big reader. I learned through Bible college how to read and write.
Yeah.
First book I ever read was the Bible,
Yeah.
except for See Dick Run or whatever, See Jane Run or whatever that was, right? That was as far as I got. And, you know, so he helped me a lot in understanding just how to overcome
Nice.
the obstacles again.
What a great story. Boy, all in our denomination, too. That's super fun.
Yeah.
So if someone's watching this, how can they get a hold of you? What's a good contact, phone number, text, email, website?
Yeah. So my phone number is,
We'll put it right here.
okay, 509-671-6478. Tell me where you heard me from because I don't answer texts or calls of numbers I don't remember, but you can go and just tell me that you heard me on this podcast or whatever.
Okay. Can you work with people in Idaho and Kentucky? And
all over. Matter of fact, my major group is back east, and we are just coming to the west.
So anybody that sees this all over the United States can participate in your company.
Yeah, and we teach through audios, through having people read books and stuff like that.
Nice.
And then we do conventions where what we do is we teach to read, listen, and associate with people. That's why I bring people like Charles into this so that he can have a better group of people to hang around with. Charles knows what it's like to hang with people that lead him the wrong direction, but he's also a very good brother in Christ and is working to change his life.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming on my podcast. It was fun having you. A lot of cool stories.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, and my email address is cb as in Curtis Blanchett at hopeline.org.
Okay, Curtis. Thank you so much. Let me just end. If you know a pastor or a leader in the local church who could use a life coach or spiritual director, my name's Alec Gonzalez with Coaching the Red Line. I'd love an introduction. That's all for now. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.